on an annual basis, we have to report to OMB on our cost savings or cost avoidance. And in the almost 5 years I've been there, we've reported over $400 million of cost avoidance, cost savings. I think that's a huge number. It feels like a huge number. It is a result of a lot of hard work, but a lot of that is moving solutions that we had on-prem to commercial cloud. So we saved a lot in rent and power and other kinds of things that you really weren't getting any direct benefit from. So the first thing is the efficiencies, right? And if you can, you want to, sharing contracts is actually pretty easy, but sharing services is much better. There you're sharing an actual solution. If you can consume a commercial solution, that's even better. But you really want to be pushing for reducing that, anything that's unnecessary. Trying to buy a service first before building one. I think also the security aspect cannot be understated. We have cyber risk score, an enterprise department risk score. It's all computer generated. There's no qualitative anything in this, and we give this out to the component CIOs on a weekly basis. We also give it to our leadership. But when you look in aggregate, we've reduced the enterprise cyber risk by 70% in the last 4 years. And that's huge in terms of closing any gaps, risk, and improving our overall cyber posture. And a lot of that's done through these transformations and moving to commercial cloud solutions. I think it's more than just modernizing the corporate and the enterprise stuff. It's modernizing the mission systems, and we've done an awful lot in that area. Again, it's increasing the capabilities, the scalability, the flexibility, building that resiliency in there, but not only just for the enterprise or infrastructure, but for the mission side. From a lessons learned perspective, I will start with you got to have clear vision of where what do you want the end state to look like. I don't waste a whole lot of time defining the current state, because you can spend a lot of resources doing that. I'd spend a lot more time on defining that end state, the vision, and then having consistent priorities. If you're constantly changing direction, changing priorities, nobody's going to follow you, and most of these transformations take years. They're multi-year efforts, and you don't want to be changing priorities or chasing different things. Governance, governance is how do you make decisions? When we come up with issues, who's going to adjudicate, how are they going to be worked through? That's important to nail that down up front. Communications, incredibly important. You need to communicate through many different channels until you get sick of it, but that's really necessary, because if you think you're just going to send an email out to people and people are going to read that one email, not a chance. So you got to get out there and communicate a lot. Leadership support, we talked about that. That's incredibly important. Pushing for details, and making sure that people feel like they can come to you with bad news up front early. People get behind in schedules one day at a time, but they usually don't like to tell you about that one day because they think they can make it up the next. Having frequent reviews, pushing for details, making people feel like they can come to you with issues is important. And then I think you can't overlook the people, right? So everybody's always, when you think about this, what's in it for me, and what is this transformation going to put me out of a job? And so making sure people are trained, reskilled if necessary. For if they're not going to have a role in the new system, new solution, but even if their role changes in the new system, you've got to train them, make sure they have the right skills. I think training sometimes to me is done once and we forget about it, and okay, somebody's got a computer science degree, they're qualified, and we've got to constantly train. And we've got to train just in time for the job that you have, that you're going into. That means technical, acquisition, financial, program management, everything. Training fast, training just in time, training consistently. And then the last thing is, from my perspective, the mission trumps everything. If you're in the middle of a transition or transformation or a modernization effort, and there's something comes up from a mission aspect, that mission takes priority. Mission is, why we have IT. It's why we exist. So the mission trumps everything, and you should never forget that as you're working through defining the solution, implementing the solution, and if any issues come up. So those are my key takeaways from my experiences in this area.